The laughter was soft at first, like wind brushing over dead leaves. Then sharper snickers, whispers, the hiss of derision. In the crowded waiting room of the military base visitor center, a woman sat alone. Her hands rested on her lap, fingers curled tightly around the hem of a worn, faded green jacket. It hung off her shoulders like memory itself, tattered, out of place, and unmistakably old. That a teenage recruit, polished and proud in his new uniform, leaned toward another. Looks like she stole that from a thrift shop dumpster. They chuckled too loud. The woman didn't react, but someone else did. Across the room, a decorated general paused mid-step, his eyes locked on the back of the old jacket, his breath caught. And in that split second, the entire room changed. Her name was Elise Rowan, nearly 70 now. Most of her days were quiet, spent tending a small garden behind a modest rental home just outside Fort Breenry. She didn't speak off the past. Not to the neighbor who occasionally waved, not to the nurse who visited monthly, not even to the young grocery clerk who offered to carry her bags that tow them. She was just an old woman alone, forgettable, but every Saturday. Without fail, Elise took the 9:45 a.m. bus to the base where she would sit quietly and wait. She never asked for anyone, never explained her presence, just waited. The jacket was always with her. Olive drab canvas, frayed seams, a missing button at the collar. The patch on the sleeve, half torn but still visible, was circular, its emblem dulled with age, a falcon in mid-dive, clutched lightning in its talons. Underneath 3 cryptic letters, O-S-R. Most people overlooked it. Most, but not all. The recruits eyed her like a joke frozen in time. Daring each other to approach. One finally did. A wiry kid named Denton trying too hard to impress. He sauntered toward her, faux confidence painted across his face. "Ma'am," he said with mock courtesy. "You know this area is for military families and personnel only." "Still," she said. "Nothing," Denton smirked. "That jacket won't pass inspection in a soup line." A few others chuckled, but it wasn't just the laughter. It was the look of dismissal, the collective agreement that this woman with her silence and old clothes was invisible, that whatever story she had ended long ago and probably wasn't worth knowing. Then Boots stopped. The general, taloned silver-haired with a chest full of medals and a stare that could freeze a storm, stepped into the ring of snide smiles and idle glances. His gaze stayed locked on the jacket. "Where did you get that?" His voice cut the air. Denton blinked. "What, sir? That patch?" The general's tone had changed. It wasn't anger. It was all almost reverence. The room fell silent. Elise raised her head slowly, as if drawn out of shadow. Her eyes clouded but unyielding met the general's. "You were OSR?" he whispered. She nodded once. Just once. And the general, a legend on base, a man who had barked orders through gunfire and flown into war zones, took a step back. "Everyone out," he said, not to her, but to the recruits. His voice held no room for debate. "But sir," Denton stammered. "No." They scattered. The waiting room emptied in seconds. Elise remained seated, unmoved. The general approached slowly like a man walking toward a ghost. "They told us you didn't make it out. That the whole OSR unit was lost in 79. Elise spoke for the first time that anyone there had ever heard. Her voice was soft, like smoke from a dying fire. "We weren't lost. We were buried." The general sat down beside her. Not as a superior, as a soldier before a monument. "Operation Silent Raptor," he said almost to himself. "Covert intel, deep infiltration. You were the only woman in the unit, weren't you?" Elise's fingers gently tapped the patch. "I made them promise to keep it that way." She told him quietly, slowly, what she hadn't spoken of in decades. How she'd been inserted into enemy territory without backup. How she delivered classified coordinates that ended a brutal siege, how she was captured, presumed dead, and traded after 14 months in a camp. And how after all that her name was wiped from record for national security. The jacket was all that remained. The general listened, tears pooling silent lion eyes. "Pardoned by war. Why didn't you come forward?" "I did," she said, smiling faintly. No one listened. Eventually, he stopped trying. He stood, snapped into attention, and saluted her. "Not out of duty, out of debt. You were a ghost in your files, but you're a giant in our history." The next Saturday, Elise returned to the base, but this time there was no laughter, no smirks. Waiting at the door was a line of recruits in full uniform. At the center, Denton stood tall, holding a bouquet and a folded American flag. His hands trembled. "We didn't know," he said. "We're sorry." Behind them, a framed photograph of her younger self had been mounted on the wall. The plaque read, "Elise Rowan, Operation Silent Raptor. Service without recognition. Valor beyond record." She looked at it, then back at the recruits. Her smile was quiet, but it was real. Some heroes wore medals, others were silence. Some carry their stories in books, others in stitches and scars. Elise carried hers in a faded patch that the world forgot until one man remembered. If this story moved something in you, don't let it end here. Share it. Tell someone. Let the silent giants be seen. Subscribe if you believe the world needs more moments like this, and be the reason someone still believes in honor, humility, and quiet courage.